Awesome. Welcome to Affixify Industry Chats. This is your host, Jasmine Saliga, CEO and founder of Affixify. And I am so excited to have my friend Sue Graves on the show today. Sue, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely excited, and thank you for having me on the show, Jasmine. Appreciate
I
it.
Yes, well, and it's exciting because you and I have talked multiple times at this point, and every time I leave a conversation with you, no lie, I'm like, she always adds so much value to my like you're always such a valuable person to be connected to. So when you agreed to come on the show and talk to our listeners, I'm like, they're in for such a treat. So you don't need that much of an intro. You have like almost 18,000 followers, but tell us who you are. Give us a quick introduction to Experience Alive. And as a side note, by the way, before we do that, to our listeners, I am here in lovely Fort Worth, Texas. We are under tornado warnings today. So if anything crazy happens and I lose power, we'll be back. But let's pretend that we're all good. So, Sue, tell us about your firm, what you do. Tell us all of that. And then we'll get into this awesome topic of AI.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jasmine. Appreciate it. After 25 years working for large enterprise organization in 5 different brands, and then convention center industry for a little stint. There's just so many obstacles that I was seeing throughout my management career, and I woke up one day and said, you know what, this industry deserves to have somebody find solutions to help fix some of these biggest obstacles of the industry. And if somebody's going to do it, it's going to be me. So I went out there. I didn't know what I'd find, but I went out there. I've interviewed over 400 companies in the last 2.5, 3 years. I don't work with 400. I work with the top 20 or 30 that provide affordable, easy to implement solutions that can positively impact how we run our hotels. I mean, we are in the age of transformation with technology now. Technology is advancing 7 years to every 1 year post-pandemic. So it's a very exciting time to utilize technology that wasn't available previously to help form and shape what hospitality looks like now and into the future, and create better employee experiences and better guest experiences. So that's what I do. I go out and find, I evaluate, and I share solutions that are positively impacting the hospitality industry.
I love that. I do. And I think what's really special is you and I have found this cool niche of how because we both like to validate and vet these vendors, but we found a way to make it work together as partners versus, well, Sue's kind of, I call you like the human version of Affixify. You kind of do it. We're like the platform, you're the human, but it's been really cool just to bring your expertise into the fold and hear what you do for these hotel companies. And I know that they're like seeking you out to say like, well, what would Sue say about this? So you've done a phenomenal job, and thank you for the service that you're doing to our, for our industry.
Yeah, it's been a real pleasure. One of the things that, I'm highly focused on right now is conversational AI. It's not something that's new. It's something that has been around a long time. It's just advanced significantly, and to a point where conversational AI, can speak in 20 different languages and 40 different dialects. And imagine, somebody calling internationally to ask a question about your hotel, and, you've got an English speaking, front desk agent, which is fine, but what are they going to do when they've got a person that speaks Japanese on the other end and they can't identify the conversation? So things like that can, conversational AI really can help advance our industry, make for better, memorable moments, take the burden of repetition and repetitive tasks off the most valuable asset we have, which is our labor, our people, and let them deal with people-to-people issues where they're really needed, and let the repetitive questions be answered with conversational AI in the language that's preferred by the guest. So it's smart technology, it's affordable, and people are saving a lot of money, and they're creating much better guest experiences because our humans are able to actually have a conversation with guests and help them with things that are really needed that the human touch has, that the repetitive questions or conversational AI cannot handle right now. The whole empathy piece. But if you want to know what the restaurant hours are, or do you have a pool, do you have jacuzzi, spa, et cetera, do you have valet, how much is it, what time is checkout, all those repetitive questions can easily be answered with conversational AI and take that load and that pressure off of our valuable labor, which our industry has an incredible turnover rate of 74% right now, which is, unbelievable. It's double. It's 5 times higher than the national average. It's a pretty scary situation, and it needs to, utilizing technology to emphasize the importance of a companion, I call it, for our labor. That's what our labor needs right now. They need a companion, and that companion is a friendly technology agent that can help support them so they can focus on what they are excited about, which is taking care of the guest and having better guest experiences.
So yes, and I think what you're saying resonates. So this makes me think of a story. About 8 years ago, I spent my younger years in Southeast Asia, grew up in South Korea, and I brought my husband back with me. We were like, you know what? We don't have kids yet. Again, now we have 3 kids, but we wanted to go to Asia. I wanted to show him where I grew up. And I was rusty. I mean, my language skills, they used to be quite good, and I could get us around a little, but and I'm thinking, wow, that would have been really nice to have when I was booking us a little tiny hotel in the middle of the city of Seoul. They didn't speak English. My Korean is rusty. The experience was fine, but I certainly sometimes look back and I'm like, I wish I would have known a little more about this property before I booked it. So what you're saying resonates for me in real time. And I'm curious, you're in touch with so many, types of properties, groups, management companies. Are you allowed to tell us, like, is there someone doing this really well because we both know tech has to be implemented correctly for it to make a difference. So even if you don't share the name, like, who is doing this really well right now on the hotel side?
Well, I don't want to turn it into a commercial, but there are several doing it well, but I work with the best. So if you want me to do a shout out, I'll do a shout out to Blue IP. They are approved Marriott vendor, and approved by many brands already. They've been in the business for a long time and then have just been advancing their technology. The reason I love this company is not only do they have the conversational AI, but I also look for companies that can do more than one thing, because the worst thing you want to do is have, 14,000 different vendors doing 14,000 different things. If you can find one vendor that can handle your PBX system, if you need a new one or things like that, any communication device, they address that in addition to having a superb conversational AI solution that's already integrated in over 1,400 hotels worldwide. So they are a phenomenal organization, and they're one that I support greatly.
That's great. That's awesome. And on the hotel side, I mean, operationally, what's the lift? Let's say we have a hotel, you're listening right now and this is resonating. I mean, have you had hands-on experience seeing these things be implemented, whether it's Blue IP or someone else? I mean, is it simple? What goes into getting this set up for a hotelier?
Well, they use AI, so they'll scan. I mean, it'll take a few weeks because it's all, how detailed you want the conversational AI to be for your property. Right. But the AI will actually study and take in and learn what you have written on your website. And here's something interesting, because AI, they also find mistakes. So there's an interesting story about a hotel that called Blue IP and said, hey, why is, the LLM agent saying, that the restaurant hours are this? And they're like, well, that's what you have on your website. So I knew you were they're like, yeah. So you knew I was going there. So interestingly enough, marketing just didn't update that. So remember, it's garbage in, garbage out. So make sure you've got good facts on your website, because it'll start there and then they will refine it along the way. And then it will actually integrate into the PBX system and listen to how agents, your human agents, are responding to questions, and look at the consistency. And then we'll add that feedback back into its model. So it learns while it listens, which is really awesome. Now, the one thing great about it is you always get a consistent answer for your guests. So imagine starting a new front desk agent, and you've got guests calling in for a variety of reasons. And
Right.
imagine the front desk agent answering the phone call on their first day, and they're like, how much is valet? Just a minute. And they put them on hold. They've got to ask the clerk next to them. Think about, this is what's happening today, right?
Right.
They ask the agent next to them, how much is valet? Well, it depends. So they want offsite, do they have an oversized vehicle, blah, blah, blah. Right. And then they just don't know. And it's not their fault. This is part of the learning stage. Well, okay, sir. So the average wait time now for a phone call is 6 to 8 minutes. Okay. Because not only do we have a labor shortage, but now we've got so much turnover that you're always training somebody new. And who suffers? The guest. But who's suffering along the way? The employee. And, me, with all my years with a large enterprise organization, was always, let's take care of our employees so they can take care of the guests. So if we are not taking care of our employees, they're going to leave. So let's take care of our employees. We have these amazing solutions that are affordable, offer consistent responses, which is what you want, and actually transfer to the appropriate salesperson, right? So, imagine that call. Every call that comes in is vitally important to get to the right person within the organization. And all those folio calls that go to accounting, guess what? The system can integrate. No more phone calls to accounting for, I need a copy of my invoice. AI, this conversational AI solution, can send the guest their folio instantaneously. So now you're relieving all that pressure off your accounting department. Let them focus on what they're trying to do in accounting, the forecasting and all that important stuff that needs to be done is now able to be done, and not, the water's muddied, so to speak, throughout the day with these, crazy phone calls coming in that are necessary, but are they necessary for a human to answer that and to get that? The most important thing that guest wants on the other end of the phone is they want responsiveness and they want a copy of their invoice. It's pretty simple.
It's pretty simple. Yeah. So, well, and I'm hearing
a real life example though. There's a 1,000-room hotel that implemented this solution. And I will say a union hotel, because oftentimes I get, hey, how does this work with union hotels? Well, adopt it easily. Okay. Because unions want to take care of their people too. So they diverted 80% of calls off the front desk, 80% in about 120 days. So the employees, the morale at the front desk was incredible. If you can imagine 80% of those calls being diverted and allowing that team to focus on the customers, which is what they got hired to do.
Now, I'd be curious whether it's this property or another, how are they tracking this against guest satisfaction? Do you know this yet? Like, are they tracking, is there an increase in guest satisfaction? Let's say check-in time is quicker because phone volume is lower, or are they checking conversion of upsells, upgrades? I'm super curious how this will play out in the, of course, guest satisfaction is huge, employee satisfaction is huge, but even on the bottom line, I mean, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm seeing an increase in guest satisfaction. They don't track that specifically, but the hotels do. And they have plenty of case studies to illustrate that. But the morale is a real thing. How many desk clerks do you want? Just ask them, do you look forward to coming to work every day? To answer 50 times to tell a guest what time the restaurant hours are. I mean, we had to before, but guess what? We don't have to anymore. We've got these new great solutions. And, if somebody said, no, you still got to ride a horse and buggy to work instead of your Camaro, what would you do? Things are advancing. So we need to take advantage of this and adopt this more readily within our industry. These are very affordable solutions. Most people are saving a huge amount of labor expense implementing these solutions as well. Because we're reallocating labor. I'm not a proponent of diminishing labor. I'm a proponent of reallocating labor. And to be honest with you, with the kind of turnover that we have, you're not replacing people. You don't have enough people to begin with. So, Right.
And what do you think, again, you've lived this. I haven't necessarily lived this side of it, but from a hiring perspective, let's say I have the ability to choose between 2 hotels I want to work at. Do you think having these tools would help you to recruit better talent over your competitor down the road? I mean, what are you thinking on that with your expertise?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a couple things that actually improve the ability to be able to capture the best talent and fastest. So the answer to your question simply is yes. And the word gets out on the street pretty quickly, how cool it is to work at XYZ Hotel because they've implemented this, conversational AI solution. I don't have to answer any of those questions anymore. Do you want to get paid that to answer those questions, or do you want to get paid to do what you join the industry to do, which is make guests happy and create better guest experiences? But the other thing is there's a conversational AI solution that can reduce onboarding. And I'm going to throw out this number, and it's a real number, 80% reduction in onboarding using conversational AI. So this conversational AI chat sits on the job board, ask the top 3 questions that, I'll just take you through the scenario. Ask the top 3 questions that you want to have answered. And should they pass the test, then it autonomously schedules an interview into the calendars of whoever. Let's just say this is the chef looking for a line cook. So it goes right into chef's schedule. Now, chef has to set it up ahead of time and say, hey, I want to interview between 1 and 3 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. For example, autonomously goes into the calendar, sends a calendar reminder, offers to reschedule. This is all done autonomously. Now, chef has to do the interview, right? So the interview cuts down on, in its current state, there's a 90% no-show rate for interviews, okay? So this cuts that by 90%. People are actually showing up. So imagine the time you're saving just using this tool because of no-shows, and now they're showing because they have a chance and an opportunity to be reminded and to reschedule. So they show up, they interview, chef really likes them. You hit this little button. I'm simplifying it for a reason.
Of course.
But automatically sends the candidate, congratulations, we love you. We want you to join our team on their phone. Confetti flies all over the phone. They make it really fun. And, if you'd like to accept, please press this button. They accept, and then momentarily we'll be sending you your paperwork that you need to fill out. They fill it out. So digitally sign it. It goes right into the ATS system, and, ask them their uniform size and everything. And they come to work. Now, not only that, but it's location driven. So if you have hotels and you're a hotel owner that has 3 hotels on the block, and you don't need a front desk clerk at one hotel, but you need it at another, it will automatically, through AI, identify your location and give you the best option closest to your home to work. And so all of these things take place, and the hiring is faster. You get better talent because the person who gets the job offer the fastest is usually the best candidate, because they want to go to work. Nobody wants to wait 2 weeks to get an answer and to go through blah, 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 blah. So, this is an amazing solution that's been adopted by many major brands already, and many third-party management companies, as well as asset management companies that own hotels. This is an incredible solution that's saving a ton of time for HR. So imagine if HR leaders making the kind of money they're making could spend time actually with the people, helping create and emulate a culture that they talk about to keep employees from leaving. So that's where HR needs to be, not pushing paper. Why don't we let's eliminate this paper stuff, let technology do that work, and let people focus on people. And maybe our turnover rate would stop, or slow down anyway. It's not going to stop, but slow down.
Slow down. I mean, 74%, we have a lot of room to slow that down. So tell me this, Sue, for those of us, as we wrap up, maybe you have some asset managers or hoteliers listening today, or they watch you on YouTube later and they're like, I've heard about this, I'm curious, but we have to admit AI is still this term in hospitality that causes a little bit of confusion and fear. You've done a beautiful job laying it out clearly. What would be your advice for an owner, operator, manager who is curious about adopting these tools, but maybe a little gun shy because the concept of AI in hospitality is still emerging? Do you have some advice for those of us who are new to the whole thing?
Absolutely. Give me a call. Let's walk through some of these together and we can connect with some of these companies for a demo. Like I said, I've gone out and found them and vetted them based upon my previous experience in the industry. I started as a housekeeper. I've worked my way up, general manager, regional manager, corporate level as well. So I understand completely, straight from being a housekeeper, how important it is to empower employees to take care of guests, but let's help them by giving them a technology companion to do it. That's what they need.
Love it. Well, Sue, you always, as always, just offer so much knowledge. And I think 20 minutes went the fastest it's ever gone on this show. Tell our listeners how, and we'll put it in the comments here in a moment, but what's the best way to get in touch with you if they want to hear more?
I would say LinkedIn. I'm Susan Graves on LinkedIn. I'm the lady in the red dress. And it's easy to connect with me there. Send me your email address. We'll make a connection. I'll pop my calendar link to you, and we can find a mutually beneficial time to meet, talk through what some of your obstacles are, see if I have a solution for them. Most of the time I do. And let's get you started, putting some technology to work for you and saving your human capital.
I love it. Phenomenal. Well, we will put your LinkedIn link rather to your profile in the comments. Sue, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Always so great. And for those of us who are joining late, we will also have this on our YouTube channel here in the next 2 days.
Thanks a lot, Jasmine. Looking forward to supporting you.
Thank you, Sue. We'll talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.